Hi guys, welcome to a new video. I just want to start this video by saying that I truly think that today's video is going to be one of the most important videos I've probably ever made because we're in a time of crisis, we're in a time of chaos, we're in a time of environmental crisis, environmental chaos. There's things happening, more's going on, and I feel like this topic of today's video is so important for me to discuss because my first reaction was to also kind of go with those feelings of anxiety and like start worrying about everything. But I know that it's my purpose as a spiritual YouTuber, a mental health YouTuber, and also just a life coach to kind of guide you guys through how I myself find peace in the situation. And this video will also be about how we can collectively actually by finding inner peace and by finding peace in these situations actually heal the world and create more harmony. So I'm not going to stretch this any longer. Today I'm going to discuss three really important points, like parts of how we can find inner peace, deep inner peace and love throughout worldly chaos, and how when we find that peace we can heal the world at the same time. And so the first thing that I want to talk about is probably the most important, and this goes back to a lot of things that I've talked about in just kind of dealing with anxiety in general, but also just living life, and that is to always choose love over fear. And when we look at what is happening in the world, when we look at the environmental crisis, when we look at the Taliban that is taking over, and we look at all the pain that's going on with fires going on all around the world, and um, it's so incredibly important to not focus on the anxiety or fighting what is happening, but to focus on how we can love the world and heal the world through a positive energy and through loving, positive focus. Because anxiety and stress is what created all of these problems in the first place. And so if we fight anxiety with anxiety, it only makes it worse. If we send out this negative, anxious, stressful energy into the world, into these problems, it only multiplies. And so we can heal ourselves, we can heal the world, not by throwing more anxiety and by saying we should fight the environmental crisis, we should fight whatever is happening, we should fight all the stress, because when we fight something which is already negative, there's just more negative energy into the equation and it only makes it worse. So just by simply making a mind switch and saying, we're not going to fight this, we're going to heal, we're going to send loving energy and heal the world where it needs to be healed, instead of fighting those wounds, scratching them open even harder. This actually throws so much more peace for ourselves, but also for the world into the equation. And so if we think about law of attraction as well, which is something I've talked about in previous videos. The law of attraction basically says, and it's a true universal law, that the energy we send out is the energy we receive. And so if we look at the news, if we look at everything that's going on, and if we focus on it from a very negative energy, we continue to create those experiences. If we continue to watch the news and get fearful and run away from these problems and try to cope with it by creating anxiety, by creating this resistance and this fighting mode, we send so much more negative energy into that, so that the problem only gets worse. So the whole point about the mindset we need to take for ourselves to look at these problems is not to fear them, not to fight them, but to send love where there needs to be love sent, and to focus on where we want to go instead, collectively as a human society, instead of focus on all the horrible things we don't want to experience. We should focus on picturing the world we do want, on healing the world the way we want to heal it, and sending out that loving energy in the way that we do. So something practical you can do is, next time you're finding yourself in a situation where you watch the news or where something passes by that makes you anxious, to become aware of that. Know that when you're responding to that anxiety and to that negativity with more anxiety, more negativity, we're constructing, or we're breaking down even more. So sit still, close your eyes, and just picture the world healing. Picture every animal that's hurt, every fire that's burning to heal, and picture the world moving towards the better place that we want it to go to. And that loving energy that we then feel is so much more motivating than to also act upon for ourselves, than to act on fear, because we don't want to feel fear. So we're more tended to run away from it and to don't actually do anything about it. Then when we feel a loving motivation to heal the universe, we will make different choices for ourselves as well. And with that healing, loving energy that we send out through meditation, through collective awareness, we actually have the power to heal the world a lot more than we think. So the second thing I want to say is to talk about the butterfly effect. And this is something that once I kind of got aware of this term, it actually brought me a lot more peace when looking at like environmental crisis and everything that's going on. And so the butterfly effect basically says that in order for a butterfly to become a butterfly, it needs to go through chaos. Because if we look at a butterfly, it used to be a caterpillar, like a worm, not a worm, a caterpillar. And the caterpillar goes into this cocoon, and in this cocoon it creates so much chaos, and it's dirty and it's slimy, and it's like, what the hell is going on with this caterpillar? And that is currently what we're going through. We're in that phase of chaos, we're in that phase of disruption, but the world is always in balance. That's something we need to understand. Like, the world will never be completely out of balance. It's always going like one side and the other. And right now we're in a state of chaos, but chaos is a necessary part of harmony, is a necessary part of balance, because our world currently, as it's going through this chaos, is becoming a caterpillar, and we need sometimes this disruption, we need sometimes the chaos in order to collectively grow. It's what I teach my clients as well when they're going through anxiety. Anxiety is, or like existential anxiety, existential crisis, something that we're going through which we perceive as negative. It's always something dragging us out of the comfort zone, dragging us out of what we are used to, which seems very bad, very dark, very negative, in order so that we can grow, in order so that we can learn and grow as a person, grow collectively, and become that caterpillar. So everything that's happening, if we look at things individually and we focus on that one thing that's happening, indeed it seems really bad. But if we look at the more general view of human evolution, of collective evolution, of the world, of the earth, of the universe, chaos is a necessary part of structure, and it's in this chaos that a new kind of structure is forming. So we need to trust that process and actually go along with it and just accept the fact that this is going on, accept that this chaos is going on, try to just accept it for as much as we can, from a place of loving energy, from a place of focusing on that healing, not focusing on the disruption that's going on, but focusing on healing and taking care of the planet while it's going through this chaos, while it's in this cocoon, and trusting that at the end of this whole journey there will be harmony again, there will be structure again. And this brings me to the third part, which is a bit more spiritual, but also something that I found for me has helped a lot, which is to identify ourselves with the greater picture, to realize that we as humans, we are all connected to the same source. And it's kind of like Marianne Williamson describes as, you know, you have like lights on a Christmas tree. It's the power source that is making all these lights burn. And for us, it's the same. We have different lights, different colors, different people, different races, different backgrounds. We're all different kind of lights. But we are all connected to each other through this universal power plug, which is energy, which is love, which is God, which is however we want to call it. And that will always exist. Like that complete picture would always exist. And by going into meditation and identifying ourselves with a bigger spiritual picture, with a bigger like loving energy, we get less anxious, we get less stressed, because we know that it's not about us individually, it's about the whole universe. It's about, as I said in the last point, this necessary collective evolution that we're going through. And by something that I often do when I think about like environmental crisis or just a question of everything that's happening is to not only think about myself and my like the things that I'm attached to, but to think about just life in general, all the animals, all the planets, all the trees and nature, and the fact that even if I would not be here anymore, the world around me, nature, the energy that is around me will still exist. For me, feels very peaceful. So to identify yourself with the bigger picture instead of just this one individual person can actually help you a lot. And this is something that you learn through meditation, through reading spiritual books and texts. So I hope this kind of video helps. I really think this is so important for me to talk about, especially now when everything's going kind of downhill or at least going into a little chaos. Be sure to leave me a comment on what you thought about this video, if you kind of got some relief out of this. I'd be happy to talk to you about more of this on Instagram, so follow me there. Like this video if you liked it, join the community on Instagram, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye!